My name is Stina Nyberg. I'm a dancer and choreographer from Sweden and based in Stockholm, Sweden. I think this is the first time I'm part of Stockholm Dance Festival. So I have not been super engaged in its organization. They, as I understand it, work quite a lot also with both existing performances and venues in Stockholm, tying them together. So we had already had a collaboration with Dansens Hus on this performance when they asked if we would also be interested in performing this as part of the festival, which was, of course, a great connection. My latest performance, Chest, it deals with ecology and masculinity. So we departed a little bit from, I guess, from concerns in relation to what white hegemonic masculinity does to propel the ecological disaster in hyperspeed, a belief in technical innovation, a way of keeping a destructive society as it is, with just a little bit polish on the surface. We had a lot of discussions around these thematics, but simultaneously we worked quite a lot with also imagining ourselves as nature or as being each other's nature, being that which affects the other or that affects you, and the simultaneously molding and being molded. So we worked parallel both with the kind of like both with the ideas and the political structures, but also from a very like physical point of view and a quite personal point of view and a very relational practice in that sense. The role of the dramaturge in the performance was quite close in a way. So I worked with Andros Brown, who is a choreographer and dancer as well, and which I worked with for many years. And several times we worked together in this situation. We worked in different ways together. I also performed in his work. We made a festival together, but I several times asked him to come in the role of the dramaturge. And in this role, he stays quite close to the process. So we've had a process of discussing thematics and what they do, discussing how that would translate into a theater setting or into an audience somehow accessing this, discussing what the whole what's the point? Like, what is important about working with these kind of thematics? Which ways is important to work with the people I work with? Like all of these questions. And simultaneously, we also actually had a little bit of studio time. So we actually kind of like tried some things, roll around and did a little bit of like movement practices and discussed them together as well. I do work a lot in collaboration in general. I love working with others and I find it crucial for the work, both as I find myself very influenced by things I've seen or practices I've been part of or teachers I've had. Like those, it's always very important to recognize that nothing really comes from me, but it comes from everyone around me. And equally, I think in each project, I even when it's project I initiate myself, like this one, I bring in a lot of people that I admire, that I somehow feel like, oh, this is a situation to get to spend time with this person's practice or knowledge. So often the projects gets very like molded by the people that are part of the creation. And I'm also quite interested in work processes. I find it fun to spend time on like, so what's crucial for a work day? What do we need? What's helpful? What's not? What feels like what in what way do we deal with the situation? Like all of those questions about how we work together, I think are very crucial for what we make. And it also takes a little bit of pressure off in relation to making great work. Because I feel like if we have a great work process where we actually learn things and practice things and dissect things and we're in something, then if a great performance come out of that, great. And if it doesn't, still pretty great. Like the major time you spend within choreographic processes and the longer circles that those are. So those are important for me. I think the dance scene in Stockholm, as I perceive it, is actually quite convivial to certain parts. Like I felt like there are at least an attempt to somehow strengthen and support each other's work, and a lot of people do work within each other's work, although in different roles or in different theaters or in different places. There's a lot of cuts in the culture budget, so a lot of people are struggling to, be able to stay in making work, are struggling to figure out how to make work in these times. I think all of the performing arts venues, the dance venues in Stockholm are super important in supporting artists and also in somehow advocating for the arts towards like government and beyond. So in that sense, they play a big role. I think Dansens Hus, where I perform my show, is for me has been very important because they can also invite international contemporary dance to Sweden, and also sometimes on a scale which other theaters cannot afford or host somehow. So I have throughout my years seen a lot of dance there, which it influences a lot. Like it's important to get things to the country or to the city, so you see what's going on elsewhere somehow.